When I was on the road, I ran into a lot of people who chose to become full-time RVers and then regretted it later. When you're traveling, you are at the mercy of whoever happens to be available. I've been really reflective lately. We spent 2 years on the road full-timing. We've recently transitioned to part-timing. We still have our RV. We're still gonna take it out for some extended trips, but we just bought a house. And right now we're doing a bunch of repairs in the RV, which Justin will be posting as episodes once he gets around to it. He's been busy with his job as well. Busy, busy, busy bees. But we were very happy with our choice to become full-time RVers. We set out with a mission that we wanted to find the next place we were gonna live and either get a house or a piece of land. We did that. We love it so much, we're keeping the RV to go on trips. It's basically our vacation home. Essentially what we did was we bought our vacation home first and we lived in it for 2 years. And now we're in our not vacation home, but we still have it, so that's great. I will say that when I was on the road, I ran into a lot of people who chose to become full-time RVers and then regretted it later. I've done some videos on the channel about some of the things they said, some of the ways to know if full-time RVing is for you. I used to run into them a lot in laundry rooms at the facilities. They were chatting with other people and talking about how they really regretted selling their house and pulling up roots and moving into the RV. And I actually happened upon a really good summary, a post that somebody had wrote about this on the RV forums that I wanted to share with you all. I decided I wanted to make a video because it is so well written, first off. Wonderful job to the author, who is named Valerie David. Second of all, I feel like it really captures very well what I experienced on the road from people who regretted it. So this is a post in a forum that I've been in. I'm in multiple forums. I like to see what people are up to. Especially when I was on the road, we didn't have a community around us, so I did a lot with the virtual community. This is a group called RV Camping for Newbies, and it's a post by Valerie David. It says 3 hours ago. That's when I screenshotted it. That's when I saw it. I screenshotted it right away. It took me a little while to make this video, but here you go. Honest assessment of full-time living. We went all in last October. We sold our house and got rid of everything. It was the only way we could afford our 2020 HR Admiral 28A. We were dolly towing our 2014 Nissan Note. Our first night, bedroom slide did not work. Luckily, Rev was able to talk us through it and we got it fixed. Next, furnace quit. We were in Connecticut and it was getting cold. Lived without furnace until we got to Louisiana. Met RV Tech from New Hampshire. We are from New Hampshire, and he fixed our furnace. The roads in Louisiana were the worst. By the way, can confirm there's some bad roads in Louisiana. We RV'd down there quite a bit ourselves. We like Louisiana, but boy howdy were some of the roads tough. Back to the post. My husband hated driving the MH, driving the motorhome, and I had anxiety from being a passenger. Husband got work camping job in Alvin, Texas. We were there for 6 months, hated every second of it, truly never understood how people thought it was fun. So fun note, I've actually been to Alvin, Texas. It's kind of in the wilderness around Houston, kind of between Houston and Galveston. So she goes on to say, we don't drink, smoke, or play cards. It was hot, the mosquitoes were unbelievable. Could not sit outside, so much we did not enjoy. That is fair, because that's in that greater Houston area. It gets really hot in that area, especially they were there for 6 months, so they were probably there during some of the heat. That would be miserable, especially if you're work camping and you didn't have hookups or anything. And even so, if you did have hookups, sometimes, depending on what the shade is in a park, that Texas heat is hard to keep up with. You know, it's a 28-foot motorhome is what they were saying. We have a 32-foot motorhome. We are lucky in that our motorhome has 2 ACs, which in 30 amp means you can't run anything else if you're running the ACs. But there were times when we were in Texas, when we were in Big Bend especially, that actually we had our AC break in 103-degree weather in Big Bend, and Justin had to get up on the roof to attempt a heroic repair. I'll drop the episode in the description if you want to see that one. That was a really fun trip, but very scary. When the one AC went out, it was not keeping up with that heat, and even with 2 ACs, it was tough. So a 28-foot motorhome, 1 AC, if they didn't have any shade in Alvin, Texas during the summer, boy howdy, as the Texans say. Drinking or smoking, I mean, I don't smoke either. We drink a little bit. It's not like a big part of our lifestyle. We more play video games and read books, but we're nerds. But yeah, I could see getting bored. If you didn't do those things, it was too hot to hike or to do anything, or if you were busy with work. So work camping, she mentioned in here, is when you stay at a campground and you basically work there. And a lot of times you'll either have heavily discounted lot rent or you'll get paid for it. At one campground I was in, you could basically get $500 a month off your lot rent if you took care of the pool and put treatment in it. So there are all different kinds of configurations. Some people, it's almost like a full-time job. Some things are like that pool gig I was talking about. So it really all depends on the campground and what you're doing. But it's not for everyone, because a lot of times you are doing maintenance or customer service work. And if you're excited about that, if that's in your wheelhouse, great. Some people hate that. So it looks like, oh, I see, ready to head north end of June. So they were in Texas in April and May. Yeah, that would be super hot. In Houston, it gets really humid too. In that Alvin area, it's on the way to Galveston, the coast. Yuck. So ready to head north end of June. Our slides and jacks would not work. Oh gosh. Yeah, we had some drama ourselves where our slide did not want to come in. Justin had to manually get it in with the reset and everything, and it was really nail biting. I've been there. It is about the most nerve-wracking thing you can experience when it's time to move and your slide won't come in. They had their jacks too. Yikes. We were delayed 3 days until tech could come to look at it. Not surprised. We tend to do a lot of our own. We've actually never had a tech fix our RV because it would be days. And if you've got campgrounds that you're trying to get into, that you're trying to go and leave for it, you've already paid for it. A lot of times places won't refund you. It can get really expensive. You're paying double rent, basically. Rent for a place you're not going to and rent for the site that you're stuck at. Justin basically is very handy. He carries a full set of gear for the RV. He actually did a video where he did a tour of all the things he uses the RV that I will also link below. But yeah, we basically fixed everything ourselves because waiting on other people is not fun. He did a bypass to get the slides in. That's what Justin did. And he manually lifted the jack so we could move. That's what Justin would do as well. Driving back was a nightmare. No slides meant my husband had to sleep in bed over cab and I had to sleep in folded bed. Oh, so they got the slide in, but they couldn't get it back out. See, when Justin did that, he managed to figure it out. Our slide had lost its sync and he was able to reset it and our slide went back in and out afterwards. Boy, that would be an extra level of miserable. We had nowhere to walk or get comfortable. We have an 80-pound lab and a cat. Oh gosh, that's a big dog. Yikes, we had our little cat. Dog and a cat, 28-foot motorhome, slide, won't go out. Oh, I'm sorry. Boy, you had a rough time of it. We also ended up having to buy a new car as the Nissan was falling apart. Oh, that's the last thing you need on top of all that. Savings were gone. We couldn't cook or sleep comfortably for 6 months. Oh my goodness. First campground we stayed in New Hampshire was a dump. Yeah, that does happen. I have found that it really depends on the area, and I'm not really surprised. So New Hampshire's in New England. I'm originally from Maine, which is in New England. It's a little bit further north. And my experience is mostly with Maine and campgrounds in Maine. And Maine is beautiful, but the winters are harsh and long. And the campgrounds, there aren't that many of them. They aren't open that much. And the ones that are open get such an influx of people who want to come see Maine in the few months where it's nice that it's really hard to get a spot. So we actually never ended up camping in Maine because it wouldn't have been anywhere reasonable where we could both work because we're full-time remote workers, and anywhere near my parents, it just would have been a nightmare. So we ended up not doing that in the RV. So I suspect New Hampshire probably has some of the same issues. If you're from New Hampshire or have camped in New Hampshire and you've had experience with that, let me know in the comments because I'm genuinely curious. It would be nice to go to New England eventually. So if you have any other tips on New England, that would be good too. All right. It was motorcycle weekend and then NASCAR weekend. Oh, it was probably really busy too. Oh, you poor thing. Luckily, we were able to move down the road to a very nice place for 4 months. Okay, so there are good campgrounds in New Hampshire, but you know, it's hit or miss, right? We were miserable. We sold at a huge loss and are currently in an Airbnb and moving into a really nice place in October. I think I picked this up in September and I hadn't had a chance to make a video about it yet. Hard lesson learned. It is not for us. We aren't go with the flow kind of folks. I think that's the essence of it at the end of the day. Justin and I are both go with the flow kind of people. We're kind of a strange mix of people who like to plan, but people who can deal with hiccups. We met nice people and took a fantastic trip to Colorado. We saw the total eclipse in Texas. Oh, we were in Texas too at the total eclipse. I'm not sure where they are, but we had a blast with that as well. But we would have had a better view in New Hampshire. Well, I mean, it probably depends on where they were in Texas. We were in Glen Rose, which was kind of in Fort Worthy area, and we had a great view. I know some places in Texas, like Austin, well, it says they were in Alvin. I don't know how good it was there. Some of them had a lot cloudier than we did. We were up Dallas-Fort Worth, kind of on the Fort Worth side, in a Dinosaur Valley, which is one of the state parks. We had a great view. To those that live the lifestyle, I admire your commitment. I just want anyone thinking about it to give it a lot of thought. Very, very smart. I agree, Valerie. Be prepared to spend a lot of money. Even if you own your rig and vehicle outright, something always breaks. Exactly. When we tell people about this, we talk about having a really pessimistic budget. You don't think about things going well. Think about everything going wrong and make sure you have picked out a rig and a plan that will allow that to happen, because you just don't know. My husband is handy, but the dealership and 3Techs could not figure out what's wrong with slides and jacks. Yikes. Be prepared to spend money at campgrounds. I will say that the dealerships and even some of the techs vary as far as skill. Sometimes people don't think about being a mechanic or having a mechanical mind as being difficult, but it is. It's really difficult. It's almost like being a spatial mechanical detective, and so it really depends. And the thing is that when you're traveling, you are at the mercy of whoever happens to be available. It'll take somebody days to come see you, and then you don't get to necessarily pick the best tech in the entire world. You're stuck with whoever shows up. And they could be like a really good person, they could be well trained, but maybe they're not good at that particular system. You never know. And when I say that Justin is handy, he has rebuilt car engines by himself from scratch. He used to work as an auto mechanic, and he is trained as an electrician and has done a lot of home building stuff. So he is very savvy. He's also built circuit boards from scratch. He has an electrical engineering background, and he also works in software. So he's like MacGyver. Boondocking is great when things work. Yeah, that's the thing. We didn't boondock all that much. We did it for a night here or there. Our big thing is that we work full time. So we always wanted to make sure that we had the ability to work. And for us, that meant using the internet. We later got a battery backup, which I did a review of, that helped us whenever we didn't have power or things happened at a campsite. But yeah, for the most part, we wanted that stability, because having chaos during the week while we were working would have made us worse at our jobs. It would have cost us more money to be bad at our jobs than it did for the hookups. And actually, things went so well that Justin got promoted while he was on the road. Our mobile internet and all our setup was so good. And he works in tech, so that tells you. We froze without furnace. Yeah, that's rough, yeah. And for us, a lot of times we would use electric space heaters for our rig that we had instead of the furnace to save on propane, and those things really draw electric. Those don't work really well off grid, and they drain our battery bank pretty fast. So I get what she's saying here. We were not prepared for how stressful travel days would be for us and our dog. It was horrible. Travel days are hectic. Our cat was great. He's passed, but he was a very good travel cat. He loved traveling. He loved walking around on his leash, and he was a sweetie pie. He would actually climb in his cat carrier and go to sleep when he saw us packing up. So he was a trooper. I think if you had a different pet with different needs, could be really, really stressful. We actually really lucked out with Ratface. Yeah, his name was Ratface. If you can go with the flow and have no money issues, you will be fine. Drinking may help. Oh, Lordy. So yeah, that is one couple's experience with doing the full-time RV life and having huge regrets with it. I'm sorry that happened. Unfortunately, you are not the only people that have had that experience, and that is part of why on this channel I try to be very clear about what worked for us, what didn't, the reasons why we enjoyed full-time RVing. We actually don't regret it, but at the same time, Justin was very handy, and we had a very particular mission of finding a new house, finding a new place to live. So we suspected it would probably only be something like 1 to 5 years, depending on how much we like traveling, what we could find for a house or land, and how our RV held up for us. And at the end of the day, it was about 2 years for us, which is not to say you can't go full-time RV and do it for years and years and be happy as a clam. I know lots of folks, a lot of them have good channels here on YouTube. Some people find that they switch rigs or switch formats every couple of years because they want to do something different, or, you know, it's time, or they just want the challenge, and that's kind of cool too to see. But yeah, full-time RVer regret. I am glad they're finding another situation for them. I'm glad they shared their story. I wanted to amplify it so that more people see this, because I think full-timing RV was one of the coolest things we ever did. I had a great time, but I don't want to see people, get wrapped up in the dream and get unrealistic about it and get out there and be miserable. I mean, I ran into them on the road. This poor family had this experience, so I'm sharing this with you. Anyway, it's been great talking to you as always. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.